San Francisco, Trey Lance.
Thank God they didn't take Mac Jones.
I agree with you.
Idiots if they had done that.
So where's Trey Lance rank for you? He's third. Why is he third, even with him
Third.
going to San Francisco?
I think it's good. I think it's overall a pretty good fit for him. It's, Trey Lance's whole thing is he's very fast and he's really physical, and he likes to throw deep, which isn't really San Francisco's deal.
Which they should, so that helps.
Right, but regardless of how he is, it's Kyle Shanahan. He makes pretty much every quarterback look good.
Garoppolo looked pretty solid either way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, despite the injuries and all that. So, I just think he's got the size, the frame. I think he's one of those guys who people kind of slept on because of his school, but then he has the raw talent. And he's just gonna go in there and it'll be Garoppolo for the first month or so. Then he'll get hurt, and then he'll go in and he'll kick ass, and people will be like, "Oh, who's this guy?"
Mm-hmm.
So.
If you were to rank the quarterbacks that you looked at, the top quarterbacks in this class, in terms of which ones are mostly a project, if you were to put that project label on them, is Trey Lance number one for you in that?
Yeah, probably, just because of his limited college experience. I think that definitely holds him back in that regard. Second would probably be Zach Wilson, just because of where he played, not having the greatest competition.
Mm-hmm.
Which, kind of same thing for Trey Lance, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, I think he is in a good spot, though, considering that he will be under Garoppolo, at least for now, he's still a good quarterback, and they've got, like I said, Kyle Shanahan, great offensive mind, so I think he's in good hands.
The one thing that worries me is they drafted a project label based quarterback when they feel like they're in a Super Bowl contending window now.
Right.
And it's
a risk.
It's a risk, but also, do you feel like if they took Mac Jones, it's another problem of, oh, here's just another guy that Shanahan likes, just because he fits what Shanahan does.
Mac Jones would have been I feel like he would have been a very safe pick.
He's he's more pro ready than Trey Lance.
Of course, yeah. I mean, he's been in more big games and all that, and yeah, Trey Lance is you're taking a risk drafting him. You just are, because you never know how guys like that are going to turn out. But he has a lot more upside, I think, than a guy like Mac Jones, just because of his athleticism and just his arm talent in general. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But
this is so Shanahan in this draft. So firstly, they take Trey Lance, right? And we talked about how he kind of throws the ball deep and is not much of a Shanahan system guy. Well, the Niners, of course, lost Jared McKinnon today. He's with the Chiefs. So they have Mostert now, and then they picked up Trey Sermon. So once again, they go back to this idea of like, well, we need two running backs, and we like to run the ball. And that's their downfall. And guess what? They did it again by picking Trey Sermon. So yeah, they picked up Trey Lance, but now they have Trey Sermon, and it basically sort of says like Shanahan still wants to run the ball a lot with Mostert and now Sermon.
I mean, even if that's the case, well, I mean, here's the thing: it doesn't necessarily say that, because you look at Raheem Mostert. He has an injury history.
Yeah.
He's not exactly the most reliable RB1. So, I don't blame him. There's this good running back. They're like, oh, yeah, let's take this guy. He's a reliable third down back or RB2 or whatever. So, you know,
They
I
also
don't.
moved up to do this, 2 forts to the Rams to do this pick.
Yeah,
So
which is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't hate it, but
I don't hate it either. I just find it like so Shanahan that, well, I mean, Lance
Yeah.
is not as much of a Shanahan pick, but Sermon feels so much of a Shanahan pick that it sort of concerns me that they still want to kind of do this instead of letting a guy, let's say when Lance comes in, kind of go off.
right.
Because my biggest thing is I don't want Lance to sort of be held hostage there, I guess, if that makes sense. That
It is good to have
Garoppolo
a
sort of
balance,
was.
though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So the Sermon pick concerned me in that respect.
Yeah.